Hello! Welcome to the third episode of Adventures of a Rhino. This week I am absolutely buzzed. I just got back from a 3-day holiday in North Wales with my friends. That's right, I've got them, you cheeky shits. Yeah, no, just had 3 days there. Honestly, probably one of the best times of my life. I've been a bender for 3 days and I've absolutely loved it. I don't think I've ever been so drunk in my entire life. I woke up this morning fresh as a daisy because I got 12 hours sleep, which is crazy because I never have 12 hours sleep. I actually had a dream that I was having a meal with Judi Dench. I've never had a dream like that before. We actually had a lot in common. We both worked at a garden centre. One of our favourite films is Pirates of the Caribbean. I was telling her how much I loved her in Marigold Hotel. And we just had loads to talk about. And I woke up sort of sad that it was a dream. So I've messaged her, I've told her about the dream, and I'll let you know if she says anything back. Hopefully episode 4, that'll be the opening. What she said. Got me sick, wouldn't it? So you're probably wondering how this lad's holiday came about. Well, I was on my way to Boots to pick up some cream. I won't tell you what for. But whilst I was there, I bumped into my old friend Jack. Now, I know Jack from school. We were in the same chess club together. And that's how I knew all the people that were on the lad's holiday, through that chess club. Now, when I saw him, I don't think he could believe it was me. He was like, "Bloody hell, is that you, Rhino? You've changed." I was like, "I know, for the better as well." and I was like, "You've changed, Jack. You've grown up. Your acne's cleared. That's good. That set you back." But not anymore. He was a gorgeous looking boy now. But yeah, so I got chatting to him. He mentioned that he was still in touch with the old chess club lot, and I was actually quite jealous because I loved them boys. We used to have a well good laugh back in school. I would always hide their pieces. So when they went to go and play, they couldn't. They had to substitute it with something else, you know. So I would nick the bishops and they would put a rubber in its place. I was pissing myself in the corner of the room with 2 bishops in my pocket. That was just one of the antics we got up to. So I thought, you know, I want to get back in touch with these guys. So I spoke to him. I said that I'd love to be able to meet up with you at some point. And he mentioned that they were going on holiday to North Wales. I was like, oh, okay. So what I did was I told him a little bit of a white lie. I told him that I lived in Wales. Didn't specify where exactly. And he was like, no way. Well, yeah, like I said, we're going on this holiday. If you fancy coming out, meeting us at the pub or something, one of the days, feel free. Well, I was all over that. Absolutely all over it. He gave me his number. I phoned him that evening, told him that I'd booked to go, and that I was buzzing to see him all. So the accommodation that the chess club boys sorted out was unreal. It was this massive house, had loads of bedrooms, all with en-suites, comfy beds, had a jacuzzi, a kitchen the size of a bloody warehouse with everything you could possibly imagine in it. Knives, forks, spoons, you name it. But yeah, that was their accommodation. I was in a campsite just down the road. There wasn't any space in there for me. I mean, there was a spare bedroom, but they needed to use that for suitcases and things, and I didn't want to. Yeah, I didn't want to make it too overcrowded or anything. So yeah, I ended up staying down the road. I bought myself a 2-man tent, which they say 2-man tent, but it definitely wasn't a 2-man tent. I could barely fit in it myself. And it came as like a package deal, so you get the tent and then an airbed, but I didn't buy an air pump, so I was there for ages blowing up my bed. But that's not that interesting. Anyway, I ended up having to walk an hour to go and meet the boys the Friday night. I did get a bit lost trying to find the house. I was knocking on the door of what I thought was the house, but there was no answer. So I ended up just having to just go back to my tent. The next day it turns out I was at the right address. They just hadn't heard me. That doorbell wasn't working. You know, they'd never stayed there before. They weren't to know. I could hear it from outside, but where they were, they couldn't hear it. So yeah, that was Friday night. I ended up going to the shop on the way back and just drinking some tins on the way back to my tent. Got absolutely fucked. So what did we get up to? On the Saturday, we thought we'd go for a walk. We're going to do Snowdon. For anyone that doesn't know, it is the tallest mountain in Wales. So it's pretty big. And I thought, yeah, I can do that. No problemo. Get me up there. But it turned out that it was fully booked. The lads said that there was no more spaces available on the walk. So I would have to go and do something separately on my own. Which, it is annoying because I wanted to ask them so many questions about like what they've been up to, how they've been, you know, are they seeing anyone? These people might have families, I don't know. I've not seen them since year 9. I can't even get a conversation with them. But hey, look. It's what happens when you drift apart. You lose touch and you're not involved so much. But that doesn't mean that they don't love you. I was so happy to see them, and I know that they were happy to see me, and I'm sure that they would have loved for me to do Snowdon with them. But if it's full, it's full. So I ended up having to do a walk by myself. But hey, classic. I thought, what don't I normally do? So I thought I don't normally walk alongside rivers. So yeah, Googled river walks, found this village that was like dedicated to a dead dog or something. There was this huge river that ran through it and went on for miles. So I thought, yeah, this is going to be fun. Got the bus to the dead dog village. Managed to buy in the shop an inflatable boat. I thought this is going to be great because if I can't be asked walking anymore, I can just blow this thing up and cruise on down. So that is exactly what I did. I blew up this inflatable boat. Didn't have a pump on me, of course, so I had to blow it up by hand. Took me about 45 minutes. Was quite tired afterwards, but hey, get to have a little nap in the old boat now, don't I? So yeah, chucked it on the river, I jumped in it, and then hey, I probably floated off for about 10 minutes before the boat popped. What am I going to do now? I've got water splurting through the bottom of the boat. I'm there, like I've got my rucksack on with all my sweet treats in. That's going to get wet. So yeah, I just start trying to paddle it towards the sides, but I don't make it, do I? I've had to put my boots in. I've got soaking wet feet. The boat had sank, wasted £25. But don't worry, I did take it out of the river, and because I didn't want to leave plastic in there, you know, that's bad. That is bad. And yeah, I took the boat back to the shop, got myself another one, and then did the exact same thing again. But this time I went for about 20 minutes before popping the boat. I just don't think inflatable boats are meant for rivers. Which is a shame, because it would be a good mode of transportation. Because in my head, it was like, you know when you go to a water park and you go in the rapids, and it just sort of goes like constantly, you sit on an inflatable and it takes you away. I thought it would be like that, and it would just take me from, yeah, I don't know, maybe not one side of Wales to the other, but certainly a good few miles. It's too shallow, and the rocks catch it. That's what I learned third time round anyway. Spent a lot of money on inflatable boats that day. Let's talk about Saturday night. I'm going out with the chess boys. Checkmate. Yeah, Saturday night I went out with the chess boys. They all booked to go to a restaurant, but for flying out loud. It was fully booked. So I had to just go and have dinner by myself. I thought, hey, I'm going to be out all night drinking, so I'm going to try and save me money here. So I just went to the fish and chips and had it by the sea. And it was beautiful. Like, just sitting on the bench, eating your salt and vinegar chips, watching the seagulls all like fly around and gather around your feet, trying to pick up the crumbs, and the sea as well. It's really relaxing. If only it wasn't pissing it down with rain, it probably would have been a lot better. Yeah, because I ended up being sat by the sea for about 3 hours before I actually got to meet up with the guys. They texted me and said, hey, we're in this wine bar if you want to come and join us now. I thought, great, a wine bar. That's all we want. I mean, everywhere else must have been fully booked because there was loads of pubs, yet they wanted to go to the wine bar. So it was really annoying. I thought, bloody hell, that must be the only place they've managed to get a table in the wine bar. So I went to Tesco, got a crate of Fosters and snuck it in. But when I got there with the mates, they weren't that impressed with the fact I bought a crate of Fosters. I was doing them a favour, but they didn't see it that way. So anyway, whilst we were in the wine bar, two of my mates told me that they were in fact masters of wine, and they started showing off, saying, oh, that's a Rioja, this is a Jacati, champagne, whatever. And I was just like, mate, anyone can spend £18,000 to spit wine into a bucket and tell them if it's, red, white, or rosé, or port, or a dessert wine, whatever they are. Anyone can pay to do that. I'll do it myself. I'll set up my own course. I'll be a masters of soft drinks, and I'll sip tangos. Well, I won't know it's a tango until I've written it down and told them, and then got a qualification in it. So I don't know why it really ground my gears. I think it's because that they were, just quite happy. So Saturday night was an interesting one. Turns out one of the guys, one of the Master of Wine knobheads, is actually talking to my ex at the moment, my ex-wife. You probably didn't know that I had an ex-wife. I don't think I really mentioned her yet, but yeah, I had a wife. I don't anymore. She's now talking to this guy who I don't even know how they met. We were at two separate schools. They were at two separate schools. Tinder, apparently. Good to know, good to know. It's going to be funny for them because he'll be the master of wine and she'll be the master of whining. It's fine though. I told him that he's a prick. Told him that he's a prick right to his face. And he said, hey, you don't need to act like that. You broke up like 3 years ago. And I said, hey, mate, does love ever really die? Just because they've moved on, does it mean that I have? Because I told him that I had moved, I didn't give a shit anymore, and that he could date her if he wanted to. Why wasn't she in Wales, Why didn't he bring her to Wales? Why was I there instead? I mean, what are the chances of that? Someone you haven't seen since school, you finally meet up with them and it turns out they've started dating your ex-wife. Yeah, so the Saturday night was a bit of a downer after that. I was just drinking by myself, doing shots at the bar, dancing on my own. Couldn't really be arsed hanging out with the chess boys. I wanted to punch him in the face. Right in the face. And I would have done if I wasn't, so bloody crying and shouting. But next time, if I ever see him again, or if I find out they're getting married, I'm sure they're not. I'm sure they're not. Right then, God, what else happens? Sunday. So on the Sunday, I thought a fresh day, new start. It's the last day of the holiday. I was so hungover. I was not in a good way at all. So I thought, right, I'm going to have to just power through this. And I really wanted to impress the guys. So with me, I bought some of my weights. I bought a set of 4 kg weights and a rolling mat. I thought, hey, I'll do a workout. They'll probably all join me, or I'll be joining them, or vice versa. I wasn't really sure what lads do on lads' holidays. So yeah, anyway, I walked for an hour to their accommodation, and I could see that they were all eating breakfast in the little kitchen bit, and I was stood outside. Because they were eating. I didn't want to go in and start chatting and disturbing them. So I just started doing my workout in their front garden bit, and they were just watching. And something really, really embarrassing happened. I threw up on myself. What with being, so hungover and everything just come rushing up. Threw over all over my mat, all over my shoes, myself. I thought, fuck this. I asked for a glass of water from the guys, but nothing. Absolutely nothing. I don't even understand why they invited me if they didn't even want me there. Because they should have told me that you have to book shit. Do you know what I mean? The mountain was booked. The restaurant was booked. It ended up being a shit night out anyway. I was covered in my own sick, gagging for a glass of water, and they didn't give me now. Honestly, if you've learned anything from any of this video, it's just don't trust people that play chess. I don't know how much more of this podcast I can really continue to do. Right, well, I hope you've enjoyed the 3rd episode of Adventures of a Rhino. Join me for a 4th, whenever you're ready. Well, when it's out. But feel free to ask me any questions as well. What's your favourite colour? What's your favourite plant? What's your least favourite board game to play? I'll tell you. Trivial Pursuits. Don't need to ask that one now. Anyway, see you later, guys. Rhino out. Rhino.